Hey guys, Tekking here. Maybe you guys can help me out with something. I'm just a forgetful guy, I guess. Do you guys remember a Bleach character? He only appeared a few times in the story, but I guess he was kind of relevant. He was an old dude, had a little bit of a commanding presence, very prideful, kind of a fiery nature. Shit, man. I think he was the captain of, like, the 3rd Division. No, was it the 6th Division? No, it was the 1st Division. Captain of the 1st Division, sorry. Yeah, I can't think. Oh, wait, no, I got it. It was Shigekune Yamamoto Genryusai, bitch. And his Bankai was pretty much a death flag. That's what his Bankai... I mean, it was cool when we first saw it, but I'm pretty sure everybody that was reading those chapters when he went Bankai wasn't even soaked up too much in the awesomeness at the moment, because we were so swept up with just, oh my god, he's gonna die. Yamamoto's gonna die, guys. But now the years have passed, and we can take a look at this Bankai and see how it measures up, see how it works. And it's a good thing that we're doing that, because Kubo really didn't. Even though his Bankai was stolen by Yuha at the end of that fight, mostly setting up for that one moment when Yamamoto's Bankai was used by Yuha to maybe light some candles in the Varvelt or something, but it was never used in combat again. It was never even mentioned again. So it was pretty much, from my perspective anyway, and I think from a lot of the fandom, it was just a rush to be like, okay, I gotta kill Yamamoto off, and to just show how powerful the Quincy's are and everything. I really gotta hammer it in that this is a threat that the Shinigami, it's greater than anything they've ever had to face before, greater than Aizen or anybody else, greater than just random Hollows or Vasto Lordes. These are the Quincy. They're coming back after 1,000 years, and they're gonna wipe the floor with the fucking Captain Commander. So I really gotta hammer it in that he's gonna die. Oh shit, I haven't shown his Bankai off yet. Alright, I'll show off his Bankai, then I'll kill him right afterwards. Alright, that's the way I took it. I mean, it's really hard to not look at it another way when you have like 3 or 4 chapters with Yamamoto displaying his Bankai, and then every subsequent chapter is all about him, like the different stages of his Bankai, and then it just all leads up to his death. But I guess he went out swinging. You can't deny that. But let's get into it. All right. So Yamamoto Genryusai Shigekune, whatever the fuck's Bankai is called, Zanka no Tachi, the long sword of the remnant flame, or the long sword of the remaining flame. All right. So his Bankai is the whole gist of his Bankai and all the different stages is focused on the compression of his flames. So Ryujin Jaka is one of the oldest Zanpakuto, probably the oldest that was still active at that point in the story, and it was also revered as like the strongest of the fire types as well. And what his Shikai did was basically just summon fire. It was pretty simple. It didn't have any kind of like over the top, aesthetically pleasing techniques. It was just like Shikai, all things in the universe turn to ashes, and then fire just erupts, and then Yamamoto can send the fire out as slashing attacks. He can summon giant pillars of fire, pretty basic shit, but it would wreck your day if you got caught up in that. His Bankai takes all the flames that were active from his Shikai and compresses them all down. Where does it get compressed? Into the sword itself? Well, yes, but not all the sword is compressed down. As you may see here, it actually turns into just kind of like a smoldering blade about to fall apart. No, all the flames get compressed immediately into just the edge of the blade, as if the actual edge. It's every single flame compressed down into that fucking level. So, this is referred to as Zanko no Tachi East, or Zanko no Tachi Higashi, Kyoku Jetsujin. I have the fucking words right in front of me, but I'm still gonna mess up the pronunciation. But Yamamoto's whole deal is, okay, look, if all the Shinigami are based in, like, Japanese culture, Yamamoto's, like, one of the most Japanese-y Japanese characters in the story, okay? So a lot of his techniques are really long and drawn out, so I'm having the words there, but I'm still gonna probably mess them up. Okay, it's the Rising Sun Edge. Now, while he's in Zanko no Tachi East, I'm assuming that as soon as he goes into Bankai, that's just the default stage. He goes into Zanko no Tachi East. Now, whatever he swings his sword at in this form just gets simply incinerated along the path of the edge. Kind of like an invisible fire sword, or an invisible, like, wind blade, I guess you could say. It just gets completely obliterated out of existence. Not cut, not destroyed, just fucking incinerated. We only got to see this a few times. You know, he cut Yuha. He tried to cut Yuha anyway. Yuha dodged, and it sliced his cloak, so just like a little remnant of his cloak got, you know, incinerated, and that was enough to queue up Yuha. Well, it was Royd at the time, but he had Yuha's memories and, you know, intelligence and everything. It was enough to queue it up, like, oh no, it didn't erupt into flames. It's not like flames came out and you know, engulfed my cloak. It was there 1 second and then it was gone. And then later on, Yamamoto demonstrates this by slicing the ground, and the whole ground just boop, just select, delete, gone. Now, this is a really powerful ability, no fucking joke, but I want you to remember what this does when we get to Zanka no Tachi North, because they seem very similar, and I just want to, you know, bookmark this, okay? So that's no Zanka no Tachi East. Another ability that he seemed to have demonstrated on activation of his Bankai was his Zanka no Tachi West ability. Zanka no Tachi Nishi, Zanjitsu Gokui. Now, I say this was activated upon when he initiated his Bankai because it seemed like Yamamoto could control who sees this ability. So, West is the ability to wear his fire. His Ryatsu basically becomes so fucking hot that it mimics flames. It seems as if he's actually cloaking himself in fire. And he states that this temperature can reach 15 million degrees, hot as the surface of the sun. Now, of course, at this level, you know, it's not going to actually appear as fire. It's just kind of like, you know, just radiation or whatever the fuck, you know, like the heat just coming off of him, and his Ryatsu takes the form of fire. Now, it seems that he has this ability as soon as he goes into it, because Yuha or Royd couldn't even get close to Yamamoto in this state. And Yamamoto had a line that was basically like, oh, I guess you can't see it, or I guess I'll make it visible to you. And then, flam, fucking flame on, flares up Gokui, and that is Zanka no Tachi West right there. Now, there seems to be a little bit of disagreement on how exactly hot this is. 15 million degrees Celsius. Hot as the surface of the sun. A lot of people bring up that that's fucking absurd. That is ridiculous. Not that he couldn't achieve such a level of heat, and not that he, you know, it doesn't follow the theme of his Bankai, but it's just that when he goes into this form, if it was really that hot, wouldn't, like, everything around him just be incinerated? Like, I'm not a fucking physicist here, guys, but if I had a ball, and this ball was 15 million degrees fucking Celsius, and I just, you know, set it in my yard, wouldn't my entire fucking yard and my house and, like, every other house in the area just flare up? Now, the only way you could possibly get around this is saying that it's the Soul Society. Everything's made of Ryatsu, so maybe heat doesn't affect it as much, or heat doesn't have the same effect as it would on physical matter. But then again, you could also say, like, the Seirete was getting wrecked anyway, so what does it matter? Just, he goes into Zanka no Tachi West, and, like, you could have everything within, like, a 1 mile radius just get incinerated. Except for Hashwolf and except for Royd, you know, cosplaying as Yuha, because they have Blute Vein. They stated that, yeah, the only reason we're not being incinerated is because we have Blute Vein. But you could have had everything else be incinerated, because what does it fucking matter? The Seirete, do you know how many times the Seirete got trashed in the final arc? I think it's at least 3, okay? So it's fucked anyway, so I don't know why, you know. And you know what? That follows in line with Kubo's art style anyway. He likes drawing stuff out really basic and simple. So, you know, removing the entire background, I just think that would make his day a lot easier. It would make his assistant's day a lot easier anyway, but that's just a minor gripe. Okay, so, like I said, this moment when he goes into Bankai, it's sort of rushed. It's sort of like, okay, here's East, okay, that's what that can do, okay, moving on to West, that's what it can do. That was one of the things that fell short. This is the fucking Captain Commander's Bankai. Okay, this is the strongest Shinigami, apparently. This is the strongest Zanpakuto, potentially. I want to see what this shit can do, Kubo. I want to see him going into Zanka no Tachi East, and I want to actually see him fight in that. Oh, now he's going into West? I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's see what West can do. Oh, now he's going into the next form? I'm like, you're rushing this. I can tell that you're rushing this, okay? So that's one of the shit that just sucked. But, okay, now we get into the fan favorite. Now we get into the moments that probably everyone enjoyed. This was like the apex of Yamamoto's ownage of Roid at this moment. So, to throw you back into the past a little bit, to give you a little setup, okay? We don't know it's Roid yet. We don't know it's not really Yuha, okay? So Yuha is just getting, he's not really being beaten down, he's not getting severely injured yet. It's just that he cannot fucking touch Yamamoto. You know, he's getting scared of Yamamoto's abilities, and apparently, you know, he still has access to Yuha's memories, so he remembers when Yamamoto used his Bankai, you know, 1,000 years ago. That's something else that we never got to see, but he used it 1,000 years ago, and it was different back then. Back then, he stated that his Bankai, Zanka no Tachi, just compressed the flames down to his sword, but it wasn't like this. It was basically a flame sword. He had a badass flame sword that he could use, but it evolved over time, over the 1,000 years. It's different now. But yeah, so Roid and Yuha could not touch Yamamoto, but it wasn't like he was actually getting injured yet. At this point, Yuha decides to create the strongest of the Quincy techniques, the highest defense of the Quincy techniques, I should say, Kyrkin Lead, and it creates this giant immaculate palace with all these different crosses and everything, and the entire area gets engulfed in light. Like, you know, if you step in 1 foot in this area, you won't be able to even you'll be incinerated where you stand, or something like that, some over-the-power shit. What does Yamamoto do, though? He takes his fucking sword, spins it around so the blade's pointing down, jumps up in the air, shouts, "That won't work, bitch!" Stabs it in the ground, Zanka no Tachi, fucking south, Kaka Jumano Kushi Dai Sojin. Or the great burial ranks of the 10 trillion fire dead. In which he summons the fucking corpses of everybody that he's torched in his lifetime back to the land of the living, or the land of the dead, or the land of the dead that are currently living, back to the Seirete to do his bidding and fight on his behalf. So, even though you're rushing this, even though it's obviously a death flag, and even though it's not even fucking Yuha you're fighting at this point, fucking flaming skeleton zombies. Come on, man. Flaming. You had me at flaming, really. Okay, so it's a badass move. We only get 1 chapter with it, but it was a fucking badass move. I orgasmed, let's be honest here. Okay, so a few things to cover with this one. Number 1, I'm pretty sure, just correct me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's not 10 fucking trillion skeleton zombies that are coming back to fight for him, okay? For one thing, I don't even think that many human beings have existed yet on this planet. I don't know. Is anybody an anthropologist out there? Is anyone aware of how many human beings have existed? I mean, I'm sure we don't have an exact number, but I'm sure there's like at least a fucking estimate, you know? And I know the human population, it's probably the biggest it's ever been right now at 7 billion and counting, so I'm pretty sure 10 trillion, that might be highballing it a bit. I think that's relating to something in poetry or something in, you know, another meaning beyond just the actual number of 10 trillion. It's not actually 10 trillion. Also, by the way, I've always remembered this quote because it sounded so cool. It was on a comment I got way back when I did the initial reviews for these. I've tried to look it up. I could not find it. So they might have been not remembering the quote the right way, or they might have made it up. I don't know. Or I couldn't just find it on Google. But somebody said that Yamamoto's Bankai is reminiscing a poem about this king, or about this commander in the army. And in the poem, the line goes like this: "To the east is my sword, to the west is my armor, to the north is my reign, and to the south is my army, or something like that. Now, I don't know. I think I actually compared his Bankai to a fucking donut back in the day. I did something like that. But I don't know if that's an actual thing, or if that was just some poetic fan of mine that decided to create this little hymn for Yamamoto. But it sounded cool, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Okay, so even though it does look amazingly cool, there's a few things about this that I should bring up. Number one, it doesn't seem like these skeletons have any unique abilities. The ones that we know he brought back were a few of the Quincy's that he torched 1,000 years ago. I think one of them was Zydritz. Zydritz was like, Yuha's right-hand man back in the day during the flashback with Bazby and Hashwolf. Okay, he brought him back, and a few other, like Hubert, was another one. And so, yeah, but it didn't seem like they had any of the Quincy's abilities. It wasn't like the Ito Tensei in Naruto, where you bring back Itachi and he has all of his jutsu, infinite chakra, and his Mangyakyo Sharingan still. These seem to be just like normal skeletons. There's just a shit ton of them. And so Yamamoto can basically use them as puppets and just basically drown the opponent in fucking burning skeletons. That'll basically, and it's used as a psychological method of attacking too, when you have your own soldiers, going and, ripping you apart. But it didn't seem like they actually had any unique ability. Royd was even able to smash a few of them, right? And he was even, being buried by the skeletons, then just started kind of breaking them off like they were really nothing, and just like, you can't do anything about this. Now, I'm sure if Yamamoto wanted to, he could just keep them coming and just keep burying them until they were dead. But that seems to be the extent of that ability. It looks really fucking badass, and it certainly values quantity over quality in that regard. A few of the skeletons even have their own weapons, even wield swords and stuff, but that's pretty much it. They're not able to use any Kido or unique abilities or anything like that. So even though Yamamoto, you might also notice in this fight, by the way, that Yamamoto, he did not have to go full Bankai. It was very obvious that he could have probably killed Royd/Yuha with just Zanko no Tachi East if he really fucking wanted to. If he wanted to bump it up a little bit, he could have gone west and just, flash step behind him and just like, hey bro, what's up? And just torched him a fucking alive. He did not have to go full Bankai, but he did because I guess he wanted to really hammer it in. I think it might have been actually because what Mayuri said to Yamamoto, but prior to this invasion, got under his skin. Mayuri came up to him and told him, like, this is all your fault, Yamamoto, because you failed to kill that man 1,000 years ago. I don't think it was like Yamamoto failed to kill Yuha 1,000 years ago. I think it was rather that he couldn't. We all know how Yamamoto fucking fights. We do. He's a fucking beast, okay? And he'll gladly surrender an arm. He'll gladly give his life if it means taking down the enemy. So there's no doubt in my mind that, and 1,000 years ago, he was even more of a fucking brute. He was basically a thug back then with immense power. That was what the original Gotei 13 were. And by the way, we're gonna find out what the original Gotei 13 looked like in about 2 weeks. I'm doing this contest thing. It's ending tomorrow, so you guys should go and send your fucking entries in. Links up here. But yeah, so this is back when Yamamoto was really fucking beast, yo. So, I think he would have incinerated Yuha back in the day. Like, he would have done everything he could have to incinerate him, and it's just that, he destroyed his physical body. Remember that hymn that the Quincy's had? It was like 900 years to regain his body, which would imply that for 900 years, Yuha didn't have a body. So what I think happened is Yamamoto went Bankai, fought Yuha, it was a metal fight that we're never gonna see, torched his fucking ass into cinders, and then it was because of this mystical, godly Jesus power and song and dance that, 900 years he came back as a body, just because he's related to the Soul King, he probably can't actually be, you can't just destroy his physical body, like you can, but he's gonna come back someday. So that's the deal, what I think happens here. But it seemed like now he wanted to go full power to, rid the world of Yuha once and for all, or at least for a while. So that is why he bumped it up to his final stage, Zanko no Tachi Kita Tenshi Kaijin. I can actually pronounce that one. Bam. Now, this is basically the slash to end all slashes, and you see the full page spread here with the fucking kanji popping up. I mean, it's cool. It means heaven and earth end in ashes. Oh my god, that's so poetic, Kubo. It's beautiful. But what does the attack actually do? Well, it does do something. Of course it does something. It's a massive fuck off slash. That's what it is. He goes into North, says the fucking name. I like to think that the kanji actually do appear there. Like, if the anime ever comes back, could you please have the kanji actually appear there, like, in flames? You know, like, I don't want to reference Fairy Tail, but kind of like how Levy's, you know, solid script magic works, like fire, like Tenshi, Kaijin, heaven and earth, end in ash, actually appear in kanji as he's fucking swiping. That would be cool. But apparently it's just an amped up version of East, where it's just like a wider range of East where everything gets incinerated. And why I'm not as impressed by this is if he did that and everything actually did get incinerated, that would be cool, but it didn't. He massive fuck off swiped, and then guess what happened? That happened. Royd or Yuha got like half of his body incinerated. But, I mean, come on, guys. When you see something like this, aren't you expecting a little something more than this? I mean, come on. You could have at least cut him in half completely. There's like that one little fucking string left. It just makes me wonder, like, you know, it was just a lame way to end it out. You should have okay, Kubo, pro tip, you should have ended it out with the fucking army of skeletons, okay? Who would be fine with that? Who would have been fine with South and North being flipped? Or fuck, they didn't even have to be flipped. You could have still done North and then have done South. Because, you know, it wasn't just a great way to end out. But anyway, that was Yamamoto's 4 Bankai stages. After this, he unreleased his sword, went back into his sealed form, at which point, I guess, all the heat went into the atmosphere and it started to rain, because just the after effect of activating his Bankai, even if it's in its first stage, dries up all the moisture in the Soul Society. Once again, you'd think 15 million fucking degrees, that you think that it would, you know, evaporate everything like a lot quicker. You know, I was watching a documentary the other day where there was, it was a documentary of how the dinosaurs were wiped out because of the meteor. So, you know, well, not all the dinosaurs, but, you know, the ones in the immediate vicinity. So the meteor crashes down, and I think they said it superheated the air to like 500 to 600 degrees within like a certain area around this meteor where the first wave got hit, like the dinosaurs that they were focusing on, and all the moisture got like sended out of their body like that. Like there's just these eruptions of steam just flew out of their body, and the dinosaurs just fucking died. So that was like 500-600 degrees. This is 15 million. You think it would just be under a larger scale. Like it wouldn't just be like a little bit, it would be whoosh. But yeah, that's one of the after effects of his Bankai. So, what happens after that? Well, it turns out Royd was not actually Yuha. Therp. He turns back into himself. Yamamoto's like, wait, something's up here. Then the real Yuha shows up behind him. Yamamoto tries to go into Bankai again, but that's at the point that Yuha just absorbs it with the medallion, and he goes on this line where he says, you know, I actually told Royd not to take your Bankai. I guess he could have, but I told him not to because I wanted to. Only I can control that power. Oh, okay, Yuha, only you can control that power. Okay, it makes sense, right? I mean, you're Quincy Jesus, so of course. But it would help if you actually use that power, yeah. And this was something that popped up throughout the rest of the fucking story. We heard stuff about how, you know, this is the point where Yuha is going to use it, or now he's going to break it out. We just never got it. It was never referenced again, never shown again. Yamamoto was pretty much incinerated by Yuha. He had his arm cut off, and that was other arm cut off, add insult to injury, and then he was just like nuked from above by a bunch of, after being cut in half, he was then nuked from above by a bunch of arrows, and they stated they couldn't find his body. The only thing that remained of Yamamoto was just his Zanpakuto, just a pile of basically ash. Now, a lot of people have brought that up too, like, isn't the Zanpakuto supposed to completely vanish or be destroyed when the Shinigami dies, and they were still able to bring at least broken parts of Ryujin-Jaka, and they were having that as like a memorial service. So what's up with that? Kubo is forgetful. That's probably up with that. I can't really think of a logical reason, because no, you really screwed the pooch on that one, because when a Shinigami dies, their Zanpakuto is supposed to completely disappear. And we saw that when Byakuya was about to die, Senbon Zakura was disappearing. You know, the sword blade itself, the guard, the hilt, everything was falling apart. Like, if Byakuya had actually died there's no doubt in my mind the sword would have completely been, destroyed. So I don't know why, Ryujin-Jaka survived, but I don't think that means Yamamoto's alive or anything. He's dead, he's gone, as well as with his vice captain, Shojiro. But you know what? Like I said, he went down fighting, he went down swinging, we got to see it. I mean, I guess it would have been way worse if we never got to see his Bankai at all. It was rushed. I wish we would have got to see more of it. And it just kind of sucks at the end of the day because it didn't amount to shit. That would be one thing, like, if Yamamoto would have went Bankai and wiped out a few Stern Ritters. Like, okay, at least he did something. But that's the biggest fucking, getting cornholed in the ass by Kubo. It's like, it did nothing. It seriously didn't. It's like he didn't take out any Stern Ritters. He had that moment where he, like, torched Basby and na-na-na-na-na-na-na and Asnot, but Basby, like, offset the flames with his own, so none of them died. And then he went into his fucking Bankai, and then he didn't even, you know what's funny? He didn't even kill Royd. He didn't even kill the guy he was fighting against, the guy that was the whooping boy the entire time. He didn't even kill him. He was probably gonna die eventually. He was, kind of missing, like, most of his fucking torso and stomach, and probably his small intestines. But he was still alive at the end of it. Yuha was the one that's like, oh no, I'm just gonna kill you. I'm gonna steal your kill here, Yamamoto. So it amounted to nothing. Thanks for reading, kids. But I wanted to talk about Yamamoto again, because after he died, it was just, like, gone and forgotten. I think, like, the only time he was brought up after that was when Senjumaru, when Shutara was talking about him, like, Yuha invades the Soul Palace, and she's standing up on top of the stairs, like, I guess defeating Genryusai has gotten you a swelled head, or something like that. But, he might have been mentioned at other times, like, I think, Basby mentioned him and stuff, but that was pretty much it, man. So much for the Captain Commander. Shunsui's the new one, and, he's doing a good job and everything, but, I think Yamamoto had some more stuff to see. I really think there was supposed to be a flashback arc in there somewhere. I'll say that to the end of time. I really think Kubo, at least maybe when he started the arc off, he had, like, a list. He had a list of stuff he wanted to do. Like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this backstory with Yamamoto and the Quincy's and shit, and maybe later on in the arc when he's looking at the timetable and maybe his editors were breathing down his neck, he's like, okay, I gotta scratch that. So maybe there'll be a light novel about that. Maybe there'll be a light novel all about the past of Yamamoto and all that shit. But anyway, thanks you guys for watching. It's always fun to do some Bleach videos every now and then, to kind of relive my roots. But thanks for watching, subscribe, like, all that shit. Remember also to check out my contest. It's ending tomorrow, but you could still enter. It's designing the original Gotei 13, the legendary Gotei 13 contest. And the winners of that will be announced on Friday, February 17th, so remember to check back for that. You can go to that video in the card for all information on prizes and everything like that. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Flame on.